Welcome to Chatting the Pictures. My name is Cara Finnegan, and I'm a writer, teacher, and historian of photography.
And I'm Michael Shaw. I'm a writer, a psychologist, and also publisher of Reading the Pictures.
Freak weather and climate change have delivered extraordinary scenes of destruction and helplessness, but wildfire racing through the suburbs takes the crisis to a whole new level.
This photo was taken by Wendy Cardona, a registered nurse at Good Samaritan Hospital in Lafayette, Colorado. It shows fellow members of her surgical team observing the massive midwinter firestorm that struck Boulder County on December 30th, 2021. A combination of climate change conditions, including prolonged drought, unusual high temperatures, and winds of over 100 miles per hour, created a firestorm that destroyed over 1,000 structures. The fire eventually came within 3 blocks of the facility.
This image just really puts us, the viewer, in the space of these other spectators, doesn't it? Looking out the window, consulting the screens of a phone to see what's happening outside. I'm really struck by the way that the window functions as both a boundary between the inside and the outside, and also an opening to that outside world and that visual drama that's unfolding there.
One thing we've been seeing over and over again in the climate crisis are frontline workers being rendered helpless. And here, the surgical team is reduced to front row spectators, as you said. Also, we see the irony of that looking at the nurse left to track the events on her cell phone. And it's even more ironic for the fact that in spite of such massive loss, there were very few physical injuries.
That nurse consulting her phone is really interesting to me because that window that everyone's looking out looks to me exactly like the Instagram square that we all see when we're scrolling on our phones. Only in this case, what's unfolding is happening literally right outside. There's also a really almost beautiful painterly quality to this image. The muted texture of the walls in the foreground, and then that ethereal quality of the smoke and the fire outside. This photo really taps into the idea of the sublime, that combination of beauty and fear. And the fear is amplified, as you said, by the reduction of the healthcare workers to mere spectators, and also because on the other end of the story, we know the scope of the destruction and the speed with which it happened.
We're drawn in this photograph to the foreground, obviously, and the flames in the background, but most of the news in this picture is in between the parking lot and those flames. What this photo illuminates is really the breakthrough aspect of this event taking place in the suburbs. Besides the atmospheric threat, this photograph documents the consequences of rampant development. The Middle Fork Fire and the Marshall Fire took out a hotel, a factory, and several housing developments. Again, what's a breakthrough here is that the climate crisis is not just destroying remote forested towns anymore, like Greenville and Paradise in California, but now it's taking out whole subdivisions.
Even in the context of this suburban space, the image really evokes kind of dramatic 19th century landscape paintings. In the far background of this image, I see echoes of Albert Bierstadt's famous painting, Storm in the Rocky Mountains. The Rocky Mountains, of course, are in Colorado, but here, in the context of this suburban scene, as you point out, the fire whipped up by the wind, in this case, is not a normal act of nature.
And when you're talking about the landscape, the freak nature of this new abnormal was also visually punctuated by this large snowstorm the next day that not only helped put out the fire, but then presented this eerie scene of charred houses blanketed in white. So we really are in uncharted atmospheric territory.